The laboratory floated silently above Earth, a sleek structure orbiting far above the blue oceans and green continents. Inside, lights hummed softly over walls covered in screens, equations, and schematics. Dr. Lena Malik moved carefully across the room, her eyes scanning a display showing the probe's quantum readings. She had not slept for 3 days, and the faint shadows under her eyes were a testament to the dedication she had poured into this moment. Around her, a team of engineers, physicists, and technicians worked with quiet urgency, adjusting instruments, monitoring energy flows, and double-checking safety protocols. The air was tense but charged with excitement. For decades, humanity had dreamed of traveling faster than light. Countless projects had failed, most ending in expensive catastrophes or inconclusive results. Every known method of interstellar travel was limited. Humanity could reach distant stars only in lifetimes, and other civilizations had laughed at their slow pace. But here, in this small laboratory, the impossible was about to be tested. Lena's eyes rested on a small, sleek probe no larger than a car. Its surface gleamed under the soft lights of the lab. "Ready for the jump," she said, her voice steady despite the racing thoughts in her mind. The probe's sensors were finely tuned to measure spatial distortions. It carried instruments designed to record every particle, wave, and fluctuation that occurred during the experiment. If this worked, it would not just be a technological success. It would change humanity's place in the galaxy forever. Her second-in-command, a calm and methodical engineer named Rafik Chen, nodded. "All systems nominal, power at maximum safe levels, timing synchronized, quantum stabilizers ready." His fingers hovered over the controls, ready to trigger the sequence. Around them, other team members held their breath, knowing they were witnessing history in the making. Lena looked once more at the probe. "Do it," she whispered. Rafik pressed the activation button, and the lab filled with a soft hum that grew in intensity. The energy field around the probe shimmered as if reality itself was bending. On the screens, numbers fluctuated rapidly, readings changing faster than the eye could follow. The probe seemed to stretch and blur, a ripple appearing around its metallic body. For a moment, it felt as if time itself had slowed in the room, the team frozen in awe. Then, with a sudden flash, the probe disappeared from the sensors. The lab erupted in cheers. Hands clapped, faces lit with joy, and a few tears were quietly shed. The first human-made object had jumped farther in a fraction of a second than any human or human-built machine ever had. Lena felt a thrill unlike anything she had ever experienced. Her heart raced as she read the incoming data. The probe had arrived intact at its target location, nearly 20 light-years away, and the measurements confirmed it had not been damaged by the process. Every reading matched their calculations, or exceeded them. They had done it. Humanity had touched the impossible, but not everyone in the galaxy would rejoice in this achievement. Far beyond Earth, in the sleek chambers of the Galactic Council, composed of ancient species whose civilization spanned millennia, the news arrived like a shockwave. Communications from distant observers had picked up unusual energy signatures in the solar system, anomalies that suggested a civilization had achieved what no one believed possible. The Council's members gathered quickly, their alien forms shifting nervously as they discussed the implications. "This cannot be," said one elder of the Sarathi, a species known for their logical precision and long memory. Their voice was soft but firm, echoing across the chamber. "No human civilization could have developed a stable FTL engine. They are young, volatile, untested. No other species had ever seen them attempt something so audacious and succeed. They were small, young, and relatively weak compared to ancient galactic civilizations, yet they had achieved what the Council had deemed unthinkable." Back on Earth, the team continued their work. The probe's data streamed in, revealing more about the distant region it had reached. Stars, planets, and cosmic phenomena that had never been observed up close were now accessible to human knowledge. Charts and maps were updated in real time, and for the first time, humanity saw the galaxy in a way that had been reserved for myth and imagination. Lena took a deep breath, letting the magnitude of their success sink in. She knew this was only the beginning. They could now send larger vessels, crewed missions, and perhaps even begin exploring distant worlds directly. The potential for discovery was limitless. But even in their excitement, caution prevailed. The team was aware of the attention they would draw. Humans were proud, yes, but they had lived most of their history in conflict, misunderstanding, and isolation. Would the galaxy see them as a threat? Would they be punished for achieving what no one else could? Lena knew the answers were unknown. For now, though, humanity celebrated quietly. Scientists held briefings, data was analyzed, and plans were drawn for the next phase of experiments. The FTL engine, still fragile but stable, became the centerpiece of humanity's ambitions. A ship larger than the probe, capable of carrying a crew, was already in the design phase. And far above Earth, the Council watched, their initial shock giving way to scrutiny. Agents were dispatched to observe human reactions, disguised as diplomats and traders, to see whether humans could be trusted with the power they now wielded. There were whispers of secret debates and contingency plans. Some factions advocated for restraint, suggesting the Council limit humanity's expansion until they understood the technology fully. Others argued for careful observation, reasoning that humans might prove valuable allies if guided correctly. The message was clear. The galaxy was aware of humanity's achievement, and the future would be watched closely. Back on Earth, Lena did not yet know about the Council's interest. She focused on her team, on the practicalities of what came next. Every component of the engine had to be tested again and again, each jump refined, each calculation double-checked. They had succeeded once, but perfection would be necessary before carrying humans across the stars. Still, the human spirit, resilient and curious, thrived on challenges. The scientists joked quietly among themselves, shared stories, and laughed at minor mistakes, letting their humanity shine even in this monumental moment. It was this combination of brilliance, persistence, and empathy that made them uniquely capable of what they had achieved. Even outside the lab, ordinary humans began to sense a change. The news, though contained at first, eventually reached media channels, academic institutions, and governments. The excitement was palpable, not just for scientists, but for all who dreamed of the stars. Humanity had crossed a threshold. The world, and perhaps the galaxy, would never be the same. As night fell over Earth, Lena looked out of a window in the lab, seeing the thin blue curve of the planet below. She felt a mixture of pride, awe, and responsibility. Humanity had done the impossible, but the road ahead was uncertain. Curiosity had led them here, but it would be wisdom, cooperation, and integrity that would determine how far they could go. In that quiet moment, with the hum of the lab and the distant glimmer of stars, Dr. Lena Malik allowed herself to imagine the possibilities. Worlds waiting to be explored, civilizations to meet, knowledge long lost or hidden, all lay within reach. Humanity's journey had begun, propelled by ingenuity, courage, and a relentless desire to know. And somewhere in the vast halls of the Galactic Council, eyes watched. Fear, admiration, and intrigue mixed together as they considered the implications of what humans had achieved. They were young, bold, and unpredictable, and they had built an engine that could take them across the galaxy in ways that no one had ever imagined. The Council could panic. They could attempt to intervene. But for now, the humans above Earth were free to dream, to explore, and to take the first steps into a future that would redefine the very meaning of possibility. And humanity, untested and yet full of hope, had already taken the first leap. The Astra Nova floated in the quiet of the orbital dock, its silver hull gleaming under the reflection of Earth's oceans. Engineers and scientists moved briskly around it, checking systems, calibrating sensors, and ensuring the quantum stabilizers were functioning perfectly. The ship was humanity's first full-scale, faster-than-light vessel, designed not for war, but for exploration. Every module, every wire, every control panel represented decades of human knowledge, imagination, and sheer persistence. Inside, the crew prepared for the journey ahead. Captain Aaron Meira, a calm and thoughtful man in his 40s, reviewed the mission brief one last time. He had trained for years, learning every detail about the FTL engine, the ship systems, and the protocols for long-distance communication. He understood the risks, but he also understood the potential. Humanity was about to take its first real step into the galaxy, and he would lead them safely, no matter the obstacles. Dr. Lena Malik stood beside him, her face lit with a mixture of excitement and determination. "All systems are ready," she said. "This is what we've worked for. You and your crew are carrying more than instruments and data. You are carrying the hopes of all humanity." They knew this journey would not just test their skills, but their courage, curiosity, and humanity itself. As the countdown began, technicians checked the energy levels of the FTL core, monitoring the delicate balance of quantum fields that would allow the ship to slip between the folds of space. Outside, Earth rotated slowly, unaware of the tiny vessel that was about to leap light years away in an instant. 10, 9, 8. The voices of the technicians echoed through the ship, a rhythmic beat marking the passage of time toward history. Aaron steadied his breathing. He glanced at Lena, who gave him a reassuring nod. 3, 2, 1, engage. Inside, the crew experienced a strange sense of weightlessness, not just physical but temporal. Moments seemed to stretch and compress. Instruments recorded readings faster than anyone could follow. And then, in an instant, the ship emerged from the fold of space, light years away from its starting point. The first images returned to the bridge were breathtaking. A distant star system glowed with color and life, planets orbiting in elegant patterns. Gases swirled around young stars, and tiny moons reflected the light like scattered jewels. Humanity had traveled farther in a single instant than any species had in centuries. The crew erupted in quiet celebration, hugging each other, smiling through tears of disbelief. Aaron raised a hand to calm them, his voice steady but full of awe. "We did it! Humanity has truly reached the stars." Humanity's understanding of the galaxy was growing faster than ever before. Meanwhile, far across the galaxy, the Galactic Council convened again. Reports from agents monitoring the solar system had arrived, detailing unusual energy signatures and the sudden appearance of the Astra Nova light years away. The Council's members shifted nervously, their alien forms reflecting tension and surprise. "This is unprecedented," said the Sarathi elder, her voice precise but trembling slightly. "No species has ever achieved human-scale FTL in such a short time. They are accelerating too quickly. We must consider intervention." "They are small, inexperienced, yet remarkably innovative. Their methods are unlike any we have seen." The balance of power had shifted in ways the Council could not yet understand. Back on the Astra Nova, the crew continued their work. They discovered planets with strange atmospheres, some capable of supporting life, others hosting vast fields of crystalline minerals unknown to human science. Sensors picked up faint signals from distant points, mysterious patterns that suggested intelligence or natural phenomena beyond human comprehension. The possibilities were endless, and humanity's curiosity soared. The crew also sent messages back to Earth, detailing their findings. Governments, research centers, and the general public watched in amazement as images and data streamed in from the distant star system. Humanity had crossed a threshold, and the excitement on Earth was palpable. People across the globe celebrated the achievement, not as a conquest, but as a testament to human ingenuity and perseverance. Yet, despite the success, challenges arose. The ship's sensors picked up a faint anomaly near a small, rocky planet. It pulsed with energy in a pattern that seemed almost deliberate. Dr. Malik studied the readings carefully. "This isn't natural," she said. "It could be an artifact or a signal from an intelligent source. We need to investigate carefully. Our mission is exploration, not confrontation." Meanwhile, back in the Council, discussions grew more intense. Some argued that humanity's technology must be contained, fearing they could disrupt trade, diplomacy, and the careful order maintained for millennia. Others argued for engagement, reasoning that humans, if guided and observed, could become partners, allies in exploring the galaxy's hidden wonders. The Council's debate continued for hours, a complex web of arguments, fears, and hopes. Finally, a decision was made to send a delegation to observe humanity directly, under the guise of peaceful diplomats. They would watch, learn, and determine whether humanity's FTL engine represented a threat or a potential bridge to knowledge long lost. Back on the Astra Nova, the crew landed on the rocky planet near the anomaly. The ground was solid but uneven, covered with jagged rocks and glowing crystals. The air was breathable though thin, and the sky shimmered with faint auroras caused by the planet's magnetic field. The team moved cautiously, their sensors scanning for energy, life, or any signs of intelligence. As they approached the anomaly, they discovered a structure, unlike anything humans had ever seen. It was not natural, yet it did not resemble any construction known in human architecture. Smooth surfaces, geometric patterns, and faint energy traces suggested an advanced intelligence. Dr. Malik's eyes widened. "This could be a message, a signal, or a guide left by an ancient civilization," she whispered. Captain Aaron surveyed the area. "Whatever it is, we approach with care. Humanity is not here to take, but to understand." The structure seemed to respond subtly to the presence of the FTL energy emitted by the ship and the crew's equipment. It was as if the planet itself had been waiting for humans capable of faster-than-light travel. For hours, the team studied, mapped, and recorded. Every discovery filled them with wonder. Humanity had always dreamed of reaching beyond the stars, but now they were touching the traces of civilizations older than imagination, learning not just about physics, but about communication, patterns, and history embedded in the cosmos itself. Even as they explored, they maintained communication with Earth. Every image, every data set, every observation was transmitted back to scientists and leaders who watched in awe. Humanity had taken its first real step into the wider galaxy, not as conquerors, not as aggressors, but as curious, careful explorers guided by intelligence, ethics, and hope. And somewhere in the halls of the Galactic Council, eyes watched, analyzing every transmission. Some elders were impressed by humanity's approach, their cooperation, their thoughtfulness. Others remained wary, uncertain of what young, bold humans might do next. The seeds of both admiration and concern were planted, and the balance of the galaxy subtly began to shift. For the crew on the planet, the day ended with a quiet sense of accomplishment. They had traveled farther than any humans before them, discovered structures beyond imagination, and survived the jump flawlessly. They returned to the Astra Nova, eager to analyze the findings, prepare for further exploration, and continue the journey that had begun with a single, daring leap. Doctor. Malik looked out the window as Earth rotated far below, a tiny blue marble floating in the endless dark. "We've done more than travel," she said softly. "We've opened a door to possibilities no one ever thought possible, and we've done it as humans, curious, careful, and courageous. Let them see what humanity can do, not with power, but with wisdom, curiosity, and cooperation." The crew had spent days analyzing the strange structure on the rocky planet, cataloging every energy pattern, every surface detail, and every faint signal. The readings suggested a level of technology far beyond anything humanity had ever imagined. It was not hostile, but it was old, ancient, and aware in some way that the humans could not yet understand. Captain Aaron Mehra stood on the observation deck, staring out at the swirling lights of a nearby nebula. The colors were breathtaking, reds and purples blending with streaks of gold. He felt a mix of awe and responsibility. Humanity had traveled farther than any of their kind, and with that distance came questions, dangers, and opportunities they had never faced before. Doctor. Lena Malik approached, her tablet in hand, filled with the latest data. "The structure is responding to our FTL signature," she said. "Not violently, but it's interacting, almost like it recognizes that we've arrived. It might be a message, or a test, or maybe a record left behind for travelers like us. Whatever it is, it's guiding us." There were patterns on the walls that seemed to shift when observed from different angles, and faint energy pulses that hinted at a kind of memory or computation. Meanwhile, back in the Galactic Council, debate raged. The human success had spread quickly among the elder species. Some viewed it as a threat, others as an opportunity, and a few were genuinely fascinated. The Sarathi elder, whose logical mind valued caution above all, argued for containment. "They are too young, too unpredictable. Their engine could disrupt trade, exploration, even alliances we have maintained for centuries. We must limit their access before they understand the full scope of their capabilities. They have not yet had the chance to prove anything, but they have the potential to contribute greatly. We should observe, learn from them, and perhaps guide them. Their curiosity and creativity are remarkable." Finally, the council voted to send a delegation to observe humanity in secret. The aliens would present themselves as peaceful diplomats, but their true mission was to monitor, test, and report. They would see whether humans could handle the power of FTL travel responsibly. Back on the Astra Nova, the crew had uncovered a chamber deep within the structure. It was a perfect cube, smooth and shimmering with soft light. Energy patterns traced invisible lines across the walls, and as the humans moved, the patterns seemed to follow them. Dr. Malik knelt and touched a panel that reacted with a pulse of light. "It's like it's communicating," she said softly. A holographic projection flickered to life. Images of stars, planets, and complex symbols appeared, spinning slowly in the air. No sound accompanied them, but the meaning was clear enough. The structure had recorded knowledge, and it was waiting for someone capable of understanding it. The crew exchanged astonished glances. They realized that humanity's FTL engine was not just a tool for travel. It was a key. A key to information, history, and understanding that had been waiting for someone to unlock it. Captain Aaron stepped forward. "We must be careful. We don't know what this structure wants or what rules it follows, but we can observe, record, and learn. That is our purpose. For hours, they studied patterns, symbols, and sequences that seemed to encode knowledge of star systems, energy sources, and interstellar travel. The more they understood, the more they realized that this civilization had achieved levels of technology humanity could only dream of, long before humans even understood the basics of FTL travel. Meanwhile, the Council's delegation approached the solar system under diplomatic cover. They observed humanity from a distance at first, analyzing how Earth governments reacted to the Astra Nova's jump, how scientists processed the data, and how ordinary humans responded to the knowledge that their species had crossed into the wider galaxy. The aliens were intrigued. Humans were not violent, not arrogant, not blindly ambitious. They were curious, cautious, cooperative, and full of determination. The delegation reported these findings back to the Council, challenging long-held assumptions about humans. Some elders could not believe what they were seeing. A species so young and small, yet so capable of achieving unprecedented breakthroughs, and doing so responsibly, was unlike anything they had ever witnessed. Back on the Astra Nova, the crew discovered a second chamber within the structure, containing small crystalline devices that resonated with the ship's FTL energy. Dr. Malik carefully picked one up, studying it. "It's like a storage device," she said. "Not just for information, but for energy patterns as well. I think it's teaching us something." It was not a trap, not a weapon, but a guide. And humanity, for the first time, had proven itself capable of understanding it. As they worked, the crew also documented their own reactions, noting how they collaborated, solved problems, and handled uncertainty. Every observation reinforced the human traits that had allowed them to succeed: curiosity, adaptability, empathy, and ingenuity. These were not traits that could be programmed or predicted. They were uniquely human. The Council watched closely, still divided. Some elders were impressed, others wary, and a few feared the implications. If humans could interact with structures like this, if they could understand and unlock technologies older than most species, what would stop them from reshaping the balance of the galaxy? The thought was both exhilarating and frightening. On the Astra Nova, the crew made a breakthrough. By arranging the crystalline devices in a specific pattern, they activated a sequence that revealed a star map, showing not just locations, but connections between distant civilizations, trade routes, and energy networks. It was knowledge that could accelerate humanity's understanding of the galaxy by centuries. Dr. Malik looked at the map in awe. "This is more than we ever imagined. It's not just information, it's guidance. Whoever built this wanted someone like us to find it. We must proceed carefully, learn what we can, and ensure that this knowledge is used wisely." Humanity was not just discovering technology, they were discovering a way of thinking, a model of civilization that had transcended fear, conflict, and stagnation. As the Astra Nova prepared to leave the system, the crew sent their findings back to Earth. Scientists, leaders, and the public were awed. Humanity had not only traveled farther than ever before, but they had also discovered a civilization that had transcended ordinary limits of knowledge and understanding. The potential for growth, cooperation, and discovery seemed endless. Meanwhile, the Council deliberated on how to respond. The humans had proven themselves capable of responsibility, ingenuity, and ethical exploration. Yet fear lingered. Could such a young species truly be trusted with power and knowledge that could reshape the galaxy? Some factions began to advocate for a partnership approach, reasoning that humanity could be a bridge between civilizations. Others warned of the danger of complacency, fearing that humans might act recklessly if left unchecked. The Council's debate was far from over, but one thing was clear: the presence of humanity had changed the galaxy in ways that could not be undone. Back on the Astra Nova, the crew reflected on their journey. They had traveled farther than anyone, discovered structures older than their imagination, and unlocked knowledge that could elevate humanity to new heights. And yet, they remained humble. Every decision was guided by curiosity, responsibility, and a desire to understand rather than dominate. Dr. Malik looked out at the stars, her mind racing with possibilities. "We've only just begun. The galaxy is full of wonders, challenges, and lessons. And now we know we are not alone, not just in life, but in wisdom left behind by those who came before us." Humanity had proven that it could reach beyond its limits, explore the unknown, and interact responsibly with technologies far beyond its years. The galaxy, once distant and mysterious, was now within reach. And somewhere, watching from the shadows, the Council began to see that humans might not just be a threat. They might be the key to a future none of them had imagined. The Astronova glided through the quiet darkness of a distant star system, its lights reflecting faintly against the surface of a gas giant below. Captain Aaron Mehra stood on the observation deck, his eyes fixed on the stars, each one a point of infinite possibility. The crew had been exploring the ancient structure for days, deciphering the patterns, energy pulses, and the strange star maps it contained. Every discovery led to more questions, but the humans approached each with patience and careful curiosity. Doctor. Lena Malik joined him, holding a tablet filled with fresh readings. "We've mapped more than a dozen systems so far," she said. "These star charts, combined with the crystalline data, could give us insight into civilizations older than anything humanity has ever known." "That is what I am proud of. We are explorers, not conquerors." The structure responded only when the crew acted with curiosity and care, rewarding cooperation with more knowledge. Humanity was learning not just about the galaxy, but about how an advanced civilization had chosen to pass wisdom forward, leaving it for those capable of ethical and thoughtful exploration. Back on Earth, the news of the Astronova's discoveries reached the highest levels of government and scientific communities. The world watched in awe as images, energy readings, and maps arrived, showing planets, moons, and structures that had existed only in theoretical models. Humanity was entering a new era of space exploration, powered by knowledge and technology that had once been unimaginable. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council continued its secret observation of humanity. The delegation that had approached the solar system under the guise of diplomacy had now taken positions in orbit around Earth. They monitored communications, government responses, and the interactions between the Astronova crew and the data from the ancient structure. "What do you make of them?" asked one elder, a sleek and lithe species with translucent skin, whose large eyes reflected the distant stars. "They are unlike any civilization we have encountered. They do not seek conflict, yet they advance faster than we expected. They do not seek to dominate, yet they are capable of achieving what others with centuries of knowledge have failed to do. Observation is wise, but I am not convinced they can be trusted with such power." On the Astronova, the crew continued their exploration. They discovered a network of crystalline towers on a nearby planet, each one resonating with faint energy. The towers responded to the ship's FTL signals, pulsing in a pattern that suggested a language or code. Dr. Malik and her team began decoding the sequences, slowly unraveling the knowledge stored within. Hours turned into days as the crew worked tirelessly. The towers revealed maps of energy currents that flowed through the galaxy, pathways connecting distant civilizations, and coordinates to hidden structures that had lain dormant for millennia. Humanity was not just exploring new worlds, they were unlocking a system of galactic knowledge, carefully designed to be understood only by those capable of ethical reasoning and intelligence. Captain Aaron gathered the crew on the observation deck. "We must remember why we are here," he said. "Our mission is discovery, understanding, and knowledge. Every step we take affects not just us, but all who may come after. Let us proceed with care and curiosity." Back in the council, reports from the delegation highlighted these qualities. The elders were impressed by humanity's ability to interact with the ancient structures responsibly. They had solved complex problems without exploiting the knowledge for immediate gain. They had explored carefully, observed patterns, and collaborated as a team. "This species," said the Valtrian elder, "demonstrates traits we have not seen in millennia. Curiosity, cooperation, and ethical reasoning combined with remarkable intelligence. They are capable of understanding not just technology, but wisdom itself." But even the most cautious began to admit that humanity's approach was unlike anything they had expected. These humans were small, young, and inexperienced in galactic politics, yet they were proving themselves capable of responsibility on a scale that challenged centuries of council assumptions. On the Astronova, the crew made another breakthrough. By aligning the crystalline towers with the FTL engine's energy signature, they unlocked a holographic projection showing ancient star maps, energy flows, and what appeared to be records of civilizations long gone. The projection highlighted not only locations, but interactions between species, shared discoveries, and cooperative projects that had spanned millennia. "Doctor." Malik looked at the display in awe. They left this for those who could understand, for those who would not exploit it. Humanity has been chosen in a way. We must honor it. That is our duty. As the Astra Nova continued its mission, Earth observed with growing pride and anticipation. Scientists studied every transmission, students learned about distant worlds, and governments coordinated efforts to support exploration. Humanity had not only achieved faster-than-light travel, but had also demonstrated that it could approach the galaxy with care, intelligence, and ethical responsibility. Meanwhile, the Council's debate evolved. The delegation reported that humans were not a threat, but potential partners. They were capable of understanding advanced technology, interacting ethically with ancient structures, and applying knowledge in ways that benefited not only themselves, but potentially the wider galaxy. Some elders still urged caution. "We cannot allow a young species to act without guidance," warned one. "Even with intelligence and ethics, the consequences of mistakes are too great. If anything, they offer us a chance to see how a young civilization can rise to challenges we have faced for centuries." On the Astra Nova, the crew prepared to leave the system. They had unlocked the secrets of the structure, recorded energy flows, and mapped hidden star networks. They were ready to continue their journey, to explore new systems, and to share their findings with Earth. But even as they celebrated, they knew their journey had larger consequences. Humanity was now part of a wider galaxy, and their actions would be observed, analyzed, and perhaps imitated by others. Dr. Malik stood on the observation deck, staring at the distant stars. "We've done more than travel," she said. "We've begun to understand what it means to be part of the galaxy, to learn, explore, and grow without harming. We are not alone, and we are capable of great responsibility. Our journey has only begun, and the galaxy will see that curiosity, cooperation, and courage are as important as power or speed." They were not just traveling, they were shaping the future of humanity, demonstrating that intelligence combined with ethics could open doors no one else could. The Council continued to watch, some with admiration, others with cautious respect. The young humans had changed the game. They had unlocked knowledge, interacted with ancient civilizations' legacies, and done so responsibly. The galaxy had not seen anything like it in millennia, and the elders began to recognize that humanity was not just another species. It was a new force for exploration, discovery, and cooperation. And as the Astra Nova disappeared into the folds of space once more, humanity moved forward, ready to explore, understand, and grow. The galaxy would never be the same, and humans would lead the way, not through force, but through curiosity, wisdom, and courage. The Astra Nova glided silently through the starlit void, the faint hum of its FTL engine resonating through the ship. Captain Aaron Mera stood on the observation deck, gazing at the swirl of stars ahead. Humanity had traveled farther than any civilization had ever gone, unlocking knowledge, discovering structures built by ancient civilizations, and proving that curiosity, ethics, and intelligence could achieve what centuries of dominance and experience could not. Dr. Lena Malik joined him, her face glowing with quiet excitement. "We've decoded the last of the crystalline sequences," she said. "The structure's messages are complete. They're not just maps or technology, they're lessons. They show how civilizations can thrive without fear or aggression, how cooperation and understanding can last for millennia." And we grew. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the Galactic Council had convened. Reports from the human expedition were circulated to all member species. The delegation that had monitored Earth and the Astra Nova had returned with a glowing assessment. Humans were responsible, cooperative, and ethically guided. They had interacted with the ancient structures without greed or arrogance, demonstrating a combination of intelligence, empathy, and curiosity that few civilizations had ever shown. "This species is exceptional," said the Valtrian elder, adjusting their translucent sensors. "They are young, yet capable. They are small, yet their understanding and judgment exceed expectations. They have not sought power, they have sought knowledge, and they have succeeded." Back on the Astra Nova, the crew prepared to transmit the final sequence of data to Earth. Scientists, engineers, and leaders on their home planet waited in anticipation. Humanity's achievements were not just technological, they were moral and intellectual. They had proven that intelligence combined with ethics could unlock possibilities far beyond what anyone had imagined. Dr. Malik activated the communication link, sending a complete record of the structure's information, including star maps, energy currents, and the philosophies embedded in the crystalline devices. Messages arrived back almost instantly, thanks to carefully calibrated FTL relays. Across Earth, research centers, space agencies, and universities received the data. Humanity's understanding of the galaxy had leapt forward by centuries in mere months. Captain Aaron addressed the crew, his voice calm yet filled with pride. "We have not only explored, we have demonstrated the best of humanity. Our curiosity, courage, and cooperation have opened doors that were once thought impossible. The galaxy is watching, and our example will shape the future." These qualities had allowed them to succeed where others might have failed. Back on Earth, governments and institutions celebrated the achievement, but the emphasis was not on power or conquest. Humanity's FTL engine was a tool for exploration and understanding, a symbol of curiosity and intelligence. Across the globe, students studied the data from the Astra Nova, inspired to learn, explore, and innovate. Humanity's culture of learning, empathy, and cooperation was now visible across the stars, setting an example for future generations. In the Galactic Council, discussions shifted from fear to collaboration. The elders debated the potential of partnership with humanity. Some proposed formal alliances, joint exploration missions, and knowledge-sharing initiatives. Others suggested observing humans as guides and advisors, offering resources and wisdom from other civilizations to complement human ingenuity. The Council realized that humanity's approach, ethical, cooperative, and curious, was exactly what the galaxy needed. The humans had proven that one small species could achieve extraordinary things without harming others. They could be a bridge between civilizations, a catalyst for growth, and an inspiration for ethical progress across the stars. On the Astra Nova, the crew activated the engines for the next jump, heading toward another sector indicated by the ancient star maps. This sector contained a cluster of unexplored systems, potential energy sources, and traces of civilizations long vanished. Every jump carried the promise of discovery, learning, and understanding. Dr. Malik stood at the edge of the observation deck, her eyes reflecting the lights of distant stars. "We're not just explorers," she said. "We're students of the galaxy, learning from what came before and ensuring we leave a responsible mark for what comes after. The galaxy has never seen anything like it, and now it will." They documented everything, careful to leave each world unaltered, ensuring that their presence did not disrupt natural systems or potential ecosystems. Through their careful exploration, humanity began forming connections, subtle but meaningful, with other civilizations. Messages were sent, greetings exchanged, and knowledge shared. These early interactions were cautious, but they established a foundation of trust. Other species began to see that humans could be relied upon to act ethically, responsibly, and intelligently. Back in the Council, reports highlighted these interactions. The elders were astonished. Humans were demonstrating diplomacy, curiosity, and foresight in ways that even the oldest civilizations had struggled to achieve. Where others might have claimed territory or sought resources, humans focused on learning, sharing, and understanding. "This species is remarkable," said the Sarathi elder. "They have achieved what we feared they might use for dominance, and instead they use it for discovery, for wisdom, for growth. Perhaps they are exactly what the galaxy needs. They may be young, but they embody the principles that allow civilizations to thrive." But intelligence guided by empathy, cooperation, and careful reasoning can unlock wonders beyond imagination. Captain Aaron gathered the crew for a final reflection before returning to Earth. "We have traveled farther than any humans have gone, discovered knowledge older than we could have dreamed, and proven that our species can act with courage, intelligence, and care. We have shown the galaxy what it means to be human." As the Astra Nova engaged its FTL engines for the journey home, the Galactic Council began to formalize communication with Earth. Proposals for cooperative exploration, shared research, and mutual understanding were drafted. Humanity was no longer a young species in isolation. They were now a recognized part of the galactic community, respected for their ingenuity, ethics, and courage. Dr. Malik looked at the stars one last time before the jump. "We have achieved something extraordinary, but the journey is just beginning. There is still so much to learn, to explore, and to understand. That is our true power." As Earth awaited their return, the crew prepared to share everything they had discovered. Knowledge, wisdom, and inspiration would spread across the planet, uniting humanity in ways never seen before. The FTL engine was no longer just a tool. It was a symbol of what humans could achieve when guided by intelligence, courage, and care. And somewhere in the vast halls of the Galactic Council, the elders nodded in quiet agreement. Humans had changed the galaxy not with power but with character. They had built an engine that could travel faster than light, but more importantly, they had built a path for others to follow, a path of curiosity, understanding, and hope. The galaxy had panicked at first, but it had learned to admire. Humanity had risen, not as conquerors, but as catalysts for knowledge, unity, and discovery. And the story of the astronova of Dr. Malik, Captain Aaron, and the crew would become legend, a testament to what humans could achieve when intelligence, ethics, and courage worked together. The stars stretched endlessly, full of wonder, waiting for the next leap. Humanity was ready, and the galaxy was finally ready to see what it could do.